I posted a video last week on possible immigration consequences of a DUI under a new bill that's been proposed and passed the House and is now in the Senate. In that video, I said that this bill is very unlikely to become law, and even if it does, it most likely, in the current version anyway, will not apply retroactively, which means that people who had a DUI conviction from before the bill becomes law, if it ever becomes law, will presumably not be impacted by the new law. After posting that video, a few people scheduled consultations, and a question that I received multiple times during these consultations was, how will this DUI impact my timeline for US citizenship, for naturalization? And I thought that that's a pretty good topic for a video, so that's what I want to spend a few minutes discussing right now. When you get a DUI or any criminal conviction, it's going to impact the good moral character requirement for naturalization. When you apply to naturalize, you ordinarily need to show 5 years of good moral character, unless you apply as the spouse of a US citizen, in which case you might only need to show 3 years of good moral character before you apply for naturalization. So for example, if you got your green card through an employer or any category other than marriage, and you want to apply for naturalization now, USCIS will look at the past 5 years for any evidence that you may not have had good character. They're going to be looking for certain convictions. Generally speaking, traffic convictions aren't enough to break good character, but not always. If you have just a serious history of pretty egregious traffic violations, that has been historically enough to break good character. But what happens when you get a DUI? It's pretty clear that a DUI would break your period of good character and it would start it all over again. But when does that period of good character begin? Does it begin after you're arrested for the DUI, after you're convicted of the DUI, or after you finish serving the sentence, whatever that may be? And the answer is, it's after you finish serving the sentence. So let me give you an example. Let's say you get a DUI in 2024 and you're convicted of it in January 2025. And in January 2025, you're sentenced to 5 years of probation. That probation ends in 2030. That is when your period of good character would begin. So in 2035 is when you would be eligible for naturalization in this fact pattern. In this specific example, the action, which was the DUI from 2024, will render you ineligible for naturalization for around 11 years. But it depends on the specific facts of your case. The general rule is when you finish the consequence of the DUI, that's when the period of good character begins, and you either need 3 years or 5 years of good character after the consequence. When it's time to naturalize, you're also going to need the actual certificate of disposition from the DUI arrest. So you're going to need to submit a photocopy when you file your N-400 electronically, and then you would bring the original certified or sealed copy of the certificate of disposition when you attend your actual naturalization interview. And during this interview, they can ask you questions about what actually happened. And it's important for you to prepare with an attorney before you answer those questions at the interview. Let me give you a quick example. So drugs have particularly serious consequences under the Immigration Act. And let's say you're pulled over and there are drugs in your car or something, or you're under the influence of drugs. But there's no mention of that in any of the arrest records. There's no mention of that in your conviction. You just end up getting a simple DUI. It ends up getting negotiated and pled down to a simple DUI. And then years from now, you're attending your naturalization interview. And the immigration officer asks you what happened at the interview. And let's say you want to be completely truthful. You have nothing to hide. You want to just tell them everything. And you say, hey, actually, I had some cocaine or opiates in the car, right? The moment you said that, you just admitted to conduct that might theoretically make you deportable. And it's no longer just a simple DUI. You now admitted to the elements of an offense that could render you deportable or inadmissible. So the consequences can be much more severe. This is all just a complicated way of saying speak to an attorney if you have any convictions and you want to apply for naturalization, even if you plan to do it yourself. All right, guys, I hope that this video helps somebody avoid wasting the $710 naturalization filing fee as it is today by applying for naturalization prematurely before they can easily establish 5 years of good character. If you yourself need any assistance with any family-based immigration or naturalization, I am an immigration attorney licensed in New York. I practice immigration law nationwide, and I have clients in all 50 states. If you need any assistance, be sure to schedule a consultation directly with me. My information is in the video description below, and I'll see you guys next time for another video.